In September of 2007, 14-year-old Andrew Gosden walked out of his home in Doncaster and never came back. That morning, he withdrew £200, bought a one-way ticket to London, and was last caught on CCTV leaving King's Cross Station at around 11:25 AM. From that moment, he vanished without a trace. Hi everyone, welcome back to This Case Takes Place. So today's case is the case of Andrew Gosden, which is a quite notorious case which happened in London. Andrew Paul Gosden was born on the 10th of July 1995, and in 2007 he was just 14 years old. He lived with his parents, both Kevin and Glenys, and his older sister Charlotte, and they lived in a place called Doncaster in the UK, specifically in the suburb of Balby. Teachers, friends and family described him as highly intelligent, introverted and a thoughtful teenager. So Andrew was also part of the gifted and talented program at school, which means basically he was extremely intelligent. One of the highest, it's basically for the smartest people in the entire of the country. Teachers believed that he was on track for a top university like Cambridge or Oxford. Andrew often complained that school was way too easy for him and he wanted something more challenging. In the months before his disappearance, Andrew actually attended a short summer school program at Cambridge University aimed at high-achieving pupils. Andrew, as I said before, was in the top 5% of students nationally. Andrew's father Kevin said that Andrew, when he came back from this little summer camp thing, that he was quite chatty and extremely excited about what he had just seen and what he had done, which suggests that he was quite excited for his future. So he goes to Cambridge, likes what he sees, and starts to think about his future education. Now, those close to Andrew described him as quiet and reserved. He only had a small circle of friends, but he wasn't a loner. He had friends, he just chose to sometimes be a bit more reclusive. His father said later that Andrew tended to say very little about school and often retreated into his own little world. Now, what speaks to this is that Andrew didn't really bother using a mobile phone, and in fact, just weeks before he vanished, his mobile phone broke and he didn't even bother fixing it or getting a new one. Instead, he got an Xbox. So as a little side note, I think this speaks to how Andrew is more of a things person than a people person. He's quite introverted, would rather spend his time, I guess, looking at things, doing things, rather than spending time with people. I think a lot of people at that age, when they get a mobile phone, I know it was for me anyway, when I was like 14, I was just like texting people all the time, friends, girls, all that kind of stuff. And it seems like he wasn't really too bothered. He was quite just content in his own little
But can't you
introverted
speak
world.
to people over Xbox? Or like the
You
original,
can.
like the first Xbox? Was that like a chat thing that people had back then?
2007 would have been Xbox Live, so you could speak to people online.
Yeah. So maybe that's how we communicate to his mates.
They found later on that he had limited communication with people online.
Yeah, right.
But we'll get to that later on, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Andrew was also described as creative and curious. He loved history and especially ancient Egypt, and he enjoyed visiting museums. He was also a big music fan. He was quite passionate about rock and metal, and he often wore t-shirts adorning his favourite bands like Slipknot, Him, Muse, and he also carried a satchel, which was covered in patches of his favourite bands. Andrew also had some distinct physical characteristics that made him stand out. He wore quite strong glasses for his age due to very poor eyesight. He was deaf in his left ear, which sometimes made it hard for him to locate where sound was coming from. He also had a unique double ridge on his right ear, and he looked younger than he actually was. One thing that's worth mentioning is that Andrew never skipped school entirely before the day he disappeared. He was described as quite reliable and considerate, always leaving notes for his parents if he ever went out. But in the lead up to the disappearance, Andrew did make some changes to his routine, which was something entirely out of character. On Thursday the 13th of September 2007, the day before he vanished, Andrew left school early and walked home alone. He left at around 1 PM. His parents were at work, but his sister Charlotte was home, and she later told reporters that he seemed completely cheerful and relaxed. He was just sat in his room playing in his Xbox and listening to music, behaving as if the day were completely normal. That evening, the family had dinner together, and there were no arguments or signs of distress, and the family were getting along fine. Teachers also later confirmed that Andrew wasn't even in trouble either. We don't know why he left school early. It still remains a mystery to this day. Now, this early departure remains one of the most puzzling and significant clues, suggesting that Andrew's disappearance may have been premeditated, marking the first step in whatever plan he carried out the following morning. Despite this change in his routine, Andrew was very much known as a home bird. He was not very street smart, and he enjoyed being home. He rarely travelled far from Doncaster without his family, and was considered sensible beyond his years. This is why what happened next shocked everyone who knew him.
On the 14th of September 2007, Andrew woke up and got ready for the day, although something was off with him. His mother later said that he appeared to be irritable and even struggled waking up, two things that were out of character for Andrew. At 8:05, he set off from his Doncaster home and walked towards his usual school bus stop. But instead of boarding the bus, he broke from his routine. Neighbours' CCTV caught him at a cash machine where he withdrew £200 from his account. He then walked home. Back at home, Andrew changed out of his school uniform. He took only a few personal items, so it was his wallet, keys, and PSP, so portable PlayStation, and crucially did not have his passport or travel card. He then left the house at around 8:30 a.m. One strange thing we should mention is that Andrew's birthday was in July. Just the month before, he had gotten £100 from his relatives, and this was in his bedroom drawer. However, he never took this with him. It remained untouched. So he takes out £200 from an ATM and then leaves the £100 he actually already had in his drawer. Bit strange. At 8:30 a.m., Andrew walked to Doncaster railway station. There he purchased a one-way ticket to London's King's Cross for £31.40. For just a few pence more, Andrew could have gotten a return ticket, but he chose not to. The ticket seller later recalled that Andrew was offered a cheaper return ticket, but insisted on just purchasing the single journey.
One thing to say, I think it was like 20p more.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So should I just say that again?
Oh, no, I was just doing a bit of convo.
Oh, yeah, right.
No,
Wrong. His father later commented that the single ticket didn't strike him as odd, since Andrew had relatives in London he could have stayed with. For me, I would have still bought the return.
Yeah, because
just in case.
Some sources, what I saw was it was about 20p more.
Yeah.
So it seems like just in case you want to go home.
Exactly.
Let's say like his relatives aren't change your plans or something needs to get home.
Exactly.
10p more, 20p more, 30p more. It's like
for sure.
Yeah.
Bit odd. At 9:35 a.m., Andrew boarded the LNER train to London. A fellow passenger remembered that Andrew was quiet and deeply focused on playing a game on his PlayStation Portable. Meanwhile, Andrew's teachers in Doncaster noticed he hadn't arrived for class and tried to call his parents. But, and this is the most frustrating part, teachers got the family's number wrong. So at 11:20 a.m., the train arrives at London King's Cross station. Andrew steps off, still wearing a black Slipknot t-shirt, which is one of his favorite bands, black jeans and trainers, and he carried a black canvas bag adorned with his rock band patches. As we described, that's often what he wore. So at 11:25, security cameras at King's Cross caught Andrew leaving the main concourse. This image, showing him with his bag slung over one shoulder, would be the last time that Andrew would ever be seen again. By the early evening of the 14th of September 2007, Andrew's parents and sister assumed he was perhaps at a friend's house or playing games at home. It wasn't until it got even later that evening that they realized something was terribly wrong. They discovered he had never been to school that day. Because the teachers called the wrong number, his absence at school wasn't noticed until later that evening. Andrew's parents began to frantically call his friends, and these friends confirmed Andrew was not with them and he wasn't even at school that day. Finally, at around 7 p.m. on the day that he vanished, the family reported him missing to police. Immediately after discovering that Andrew was missing, his father retraced the journey to school, but he found nothing. So panic obviously ensues as the family realized that something terrible may have happened to Andrew. The following day, so this is the 15th of September, the family worked closely with South Yorkshire police who began searching the local area, interviewing friends, checking bus routes and issuing alerts. Kevin and Glennis phoned hospitals, railway stations and anyone that they could think of, desperately trying to track him down. Then, police discovered that Andrew had withdrawn the £200 and bought a one-way ticket to London. With this, the focus of the search therefore widened to London. British Transport Police and the Metropolitan Police were notified and Andrew was declared a missing person nationwide. The family began putting up missing posters, contacting the media and appealing for information almost immediately. His father later said he spent the first few days barely sleeping, constantly calling anyone who might have seen him and checking for leads, while Andrew's mother and sister stayed at home just in case Andrew returned. Friends and family went to London, handing out flyers around areas that Andrew would likely have hung out, desperate for any clues. In the initial days after Andrew's disappearance, police followed standard procedure and examined the family closely, including Andrew's father, Kevin Gosden, to rule out any possibility of parental involvement. And Kevin was interviewed extensively, his movements scrutinized, and the family home and garden was searched for any sign of foul play. He later said he understood why detectives looked at him first, given that statistically, family members are often involved when a child goes missing. However, he described how the tone of the investigation shifted, and at one point he felt the police had crossed the line, treating him less like a grieving parent and more like a suspect. He recalls the questioning as intense and emotionally devastating, calling those first few days the worst of my life. Kevin even said that they, quote, carried out unlawfully recorded interviews aimed at pressuring him into revealing the reason for his son's disappearance, end of quote. Despite this, Kevin cooperated fully with investigators and no evidence ever linked him to Andrew's disappearance. He was quickly cleared of any suspicion, and police have since consistently stated that the Gosden family had no involvement in Andrew's disappearance.
In the weeks following Andrew's disappearance, several unconfirmed sightings were reported in London, but sadly none of these were ever verified. The most notable came from a woman in Covent Garden who said she saw a boy who closely resembled Andrew about 2 weeks after he vanished. Concerned because he appeared to be on his own, she approached him and asked if he was okay, but he only gave a brief, dismissive response, and she moved on. Later on, after seeing the wide media coverage, she became convinced that it might have been Andrew that she saw, and she went to the police and told them. However, by the time investigators interviewed her, 6 weeks after the sighting, she couldn't recall the details enough to be sure, and CCTV from the area had already been wiped. So just to clarify, the police didn't interview her. So she saw Andrew, then 2 weeks later, she told the police, then 4 weeks after that, they spoke to her.
Oh,
so there was a huge gap. Huge gap. And then other possible sightings were also reported, this time at a Pizza Hut in Oxford Street, London. This person contacted the police and told them they had seen a boy who closely resembled Andrew. The boy was said to have been quiet, alone, and keeping to himself, which caught the witnesses' attention. Andrew's father, Kevin Gosden, has later said that this, to him, is the most plausible of the early sightings, mainly because of the timeline, the geography, and it was quite similar to Andrew's demeanour and his behaviour patterns. Oxford Street is just around 30 minutes away from King's Cross, and Andrew did arrive at 11:30, so it fits the timeline of him looking for something to eat. However, just like the previous time, the police were unable to obtain the CCTV to corroborate the report. By the time the sighting was passed on, and the time the police actually kicked into action, the surveillance footage was already overwritten. No other customers or staff came forward and could confirm that this actually happened, so it was just this one person who said they saw Andrew. While unverified, this remains one of the sightings that both the police and Andrew's family have considered seriously, given the timing, location, and plausibility. Then, there was a reported sighting of a boy matching his description, sleeping rough in a park in Streatham, South London. This account came from a member of the public who believed they had seen Andrew sleeping on a bench, and they later reported this to the police after recognising his image in the media. This sighting was never precisely dated in the press, but it's described as occurring within weeks of his disappearance. The police investigated the lead, but they weren't able to verify it because there was no CCTV and no other witnesses who supported this account. The description was also a little bit vague, and by the time the information reached the investigators, there was no way to trace what this person had actually seen. The Covent Garden sighting, the Pizza Hut sighting, and the Sleeping Rough sighting all share a common problem. They were reported far too late for the police to follow up effectively, and the police didn't act quickly enough. Kevin Gosden has said that these missed leads remain some of the most painful what-if moments of the entire investigation.
So police continued to investigate, and Andrew's case remained prominent in the public's eye. He was the first person to appear on a national missing broadcast, the BBC Missing Live, in 2011, and Crime Watch raised his profile again in 2020. His parents appeared on TV and in newspapers pleading for information each year on his birthday and on the anniversary of his disappearance. Andrew has still never been found. He's still missing to this day. His case was quietly updated on the Missing People's website and on police's cold case pages. So that leads us to...
What happened?
What on earth happened? So over the years, dozens of theories have emerged to explain Andrew's disappearance, as well as the ideas debated online by amateur sleuths. And now by us. So, first of all, the first theory is that the idea of a voluntary disappearance. So maybe he just wanted to start a new life. So proponents point to the strange nature of his actions. So abandoning school without telling anyone, taking money but no real plan, as evidence that maybe he might have intended to take just a clean break. Some note that Andrew was extremely shy and insular. Perhaps he felt misunderstood or sought freedom. Online, this idea resurfaces often. For example, a popular Reddit discussion wondered if Andrew, quote, ran away deliberately to spare his family from a worse fate. Missing children advocate groups sometimes find that even academically brilliant youths can feel trapped. A clue sometimes cited is Andrew's interest in the TV show, quote, The Fall and Rise of Reginald Perrin, end of quote, which is a comedy about a man who fakes his death to start a new life. So Kevin Gosden once mentioned that Andrew enjoyed this show. Investigators have never ruled out a voluntary motive. However, police have consistently stressed that Andrew never took the normal steps of a runaway, such as informing anyone. In fact, South Yorkshire detectives point out he took virtually nothing with him. His family say Andrew always told them where he was going, so vanishing without a word would be out of character. A senior detective summarized, quote, any new information is carefully considered, end quote, but thus far no evidence has emerged that he simply chose to stay away. This theory has been debated at length. A Times journalist in 2007 asked, quote, what made him run away, end quote, noting that there were, quote, no indications he was unhappy at home, end of quote. Crime writers observed that unlike many missing youths, Andrew left behind a loving family with no history of abuse. He had never missed a day of school before, and teachers described him as mature and well-adjusted. So there were no signs of depression, and it didn't even seem as though he was being bullied. In short, experts find little motive for Andrew to vanish voluntarily. Andrew's parents firmly believe he would not abandon them without a word. In 2008, Kevin admitted he was initially angry, thinking, quote, what is so wrong with a middle-class, emotionally supportive family that made you disappear, end quote. But by 2018, he pleaded publicly, quote, our door is always open. The answer phone is always on. Just tell us you are alive, end quote. The family has always emphasized that if Andrew wanted distance, he could have arranged it. They would welcome any signs of life. As Kevin put it, quote, I would just like to hug him.
I think one thing that his family have done as well, they were wondering as well if he was gay and he just tried to basically run away because he was ashamed of what his parents might think.
Yeah.
But they've recently appealed to like the gay community and said like they don't care. So like if he is, they're not bothered. And that if he does have a boyfriend or something like that, then it makes no difference to them. So I think that's like a recent thing that happened in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But for them to say that as well, I wonder if there was some signs that he might have been and it's something there.
I mean, it's interesting though. I mean, even the dad's making that comment, quote, what is so wrong with the middle class, emotionally supportive family that made you disappear? So they mustn't have thought that they must think on some level that maybe he did just abandon us.
Yeah,
and
I
then
think
later
so,
on, like from everything that the father Kevin's putting out, it sounds like they still genuinely believe he's alive.
He
But
just
maybe,
ran away.
but like,
I think,
who runs away and leaves the 200 pounds, the 100 pounds in the drawer?
Yeah, that's one
And
thing
literally
that
takes
doesn't make any
nothing with
sense.
him.
Yeah.
So the police are like, no, we're not ruling it out, but he has no signs, like normal pattern of behavior of runaways at all. And I agree. To me, that doesn't make sense at all.
But then why the one-way ticket?
Well, was he meeting? Yeah. Well, let's discuss at the end. Let's
Yeah.
go through all the theories so I can mull this over. But then something strange happened. In November of 2008, a man claimed to have information about Andrew. This mysterious man went to a police station to share the details. He was placed into a waiting area for an officer to come to take this information. However, by the time someone had come to take this information, this man vanished. But that wasn't the end of this man. A BBC program featured the Andrew case on the One Show, and following the show being aired, the BBC received an anonymous letter from someone claiming to be the man from the police station that vanished. It claimed that Andrew had been sighted in Shrewsbury on numerous occasions. When this person was interviewed, they described how Andrew spoke. There is no confirmation that the person who wrote the letter and the man at the police station are one and the same. There have been quote-unquote sightings also in Plymouth, South Wales, Southend and Birkenhead. However, it would be 10 years later in 2017 that a rather strange tip came in. giving the police a new location to examine.
So, on the 10-year anniversary of Andrew's disappearance, his family received an unexpected tip that briefly raised their hopes. A man reached out to the police to say that he had been chatting with a man online with someone who went by the name of Andy Rue. The name immediately struck Kevin, Andrew's father, because Rue had been the family's pet name for Andrew when he was a little boy. During the exchange, this Andy Rue confided that his partner had just left him, and I think in other things it says boyfriend.
Yeah,
So his boyfriend left him and that he was desperate for help. When asked what he needed, he said he required £200 to pay his rent, an eerie echo to the £200 that Andrew withdrew from his bank account on the morning that he disappeared in 2007. This man also noticed that Andy Rue was listed as living in Lincoln, a city roughly 50 miles away from Doncaster. When he offered to transfer this Andy Rue some money, Andy Rue explained that he didn't have a bank account, claiming that he left home at just 14 simply because he felt like it. This combination of the name, the age reference, and the £200 detail make the Gosden family believe that this could be a genuine lead. The police became involved and asked the family to keep quiet while some inquiries were made. So, the police got in contact with this website and they tried to get as much data as they could from the website to trace exactly who this Andy Rue was. However, here's the most frustrating part. The website had just very recently changed its systems, and in the process, it deleted most of its data, making it impossible to trace the account. With no digital trail, the family even drove around the Lincoln area searching for anyone who closely resembled Andrew. Nothing emerged, and this promising lead, like so many before it, just turned into another heartbreaking dead end. Additionally, the police also, since the disappearance and whatnot, have created a age progression image showing that what Andrew could look as a man in his 30s as he would be right now. But here's the thing, the absence of any confirmed sighting suggests that if he is alive, he is keeping an extremely low profile. He doesn't want to be found if he is alive. Some family members have spread flies in recent years and have even featured his adult image, hoping that someone might see it and come forward. So that's theory one, that he started a new life.
Yeah. I don't think Andy Rue was him at all.
I don't think it was him. I think it's someone who has seen the story.
Yes.
And they've pretended to be him as a weird little thing just to get some little
attention.
kick out of something, attention.
100%.
Yeah, it's too on the nose. It's £200 Andy Rue.
Yeah.
Someone close. I think
100%.
They would have known the pet name. It's someone close.
Yeah. Someone just wants attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I think so.
Heartbreakingly.
Yeah.
And also because, send me £200. It sounds like a scam anyway. But because it's just like the right amount that maybe you could get out of someone. But also, I mean, I personally don't think he's alive at all. Because he said, send me money to my bank account. I don't have one because I left home at 14. That would be so hard to genuinely do. In your early 30s, not ever have a bank account, not have any trace of yourself online, because you would need it. Like, we all have NI numbers and all that stuff, right?
That almost confirms to me as well that it was someone close to the family, because if that person did send £200 to that person and they would have got a name, they would have seen it wasn't, or they wouldn't have seen it was Andy Rue for a start. They would have seen it was someone in the family as well, I think as well.
True.
There are also multiple ways, I think, to send money. Like, I don't know. It seems a bit weird. If he's asking for money and then says, I can't actually get it by bank, why is he asking for money?
Exactly.
It makes no sense. It's someone putting information out.
100%.
So then it goes back to the police.
100%.
And then this family member goes, what did you hear about Andrew then? And it's like a little thrill.
100%.
People are weird. I wouldn't be surprised if someone did that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's pretty depressing, but I don't think it...
I don't know.
Him.
No. Not even a little bit. That's just so.
He would have taken the £100
and
as well.
Like he's like being completely incognito. He wants a completely different life, whatever. And then randomly comes up with Andy Rue. £200. Oh, by the way, I left at 14.
Yeah.
Like shout it from the rooftop.
Just because I felt like it. And that doesn't really sound like... I don't know Andrew, obviously, but like, it don't really seem like some... He seems quite smart. It's not. It wouldn't just be like, just felt like it.
Yeah. Or his family said he was super considerate.
Yeah.
He's always like, if he's going to stay late, he'll tell his mum.
Tell his mum.
Super respectable young kid.
Wouldn't just be like, I felt like it.
And just left.
And just leave.
No way.
No. So one theory that comes up is, a lot of people wonder, why would Andrew go to London? And one theory is that he travelled there and he wanted to go see a band. So he tested the waters to see if anyone would know he was skipping school. Seems like he got away with it when he skipped half a day of school. So I think his plan was, well, what some people think his plan was was to essentially test that out and then have a full day off and go to London to go and see one of his favourite bands, who a few bands were playing in London on this day. So Andrew had a well-known passion for rock and metal. He wore band t-shirts, followed the music press, and spent hours listening to his favourite artists. On the week he disappeared, London was hosting several big events that would have appealed to him very much. So on the day that Andrew vanished, 30 Seconds to Mars and a band called Sixth were playing in London. Investigators have described this as a possible destination. If Andrew did go to a gig, is it possible that he became vulnerable afterwards? Concerts end fairly late, and music venues, and I guess London in general, can be extremely dangerous for a boy who's 14. And he also looked a lot younger than 14 as well. He's had a small frame. If he was alone in a very unfamiliar, dangerous city like London, something bad could have happened to him. So there was a real risk of him being approached, lured, or harmed. Some suggest that he may have arranged to meet someone he trusted online, perhaps using a concert as cover, only for the encounter to turn dangerous. Because Andrew was never seen again after King's Cross, foul play remains a very real possibility attached to this theory. However, when it comes to talking to people online, the police later forensically examined his known devices and found no evidence of online grooming. There were no emails or chats, so they looked at his PlayStation Portable, his sister's laptop, his school computer, the local library, everything, and there was literally no evidence that he talked to anyone that he didn't know. It was pretty much just friends. He didn't talk to anyone. Andrew's family have never dismissed the concert theory that he attended a concert, and they have staged appeals outside music venues asking for anyone to look back at old photographs or recall if they saw Andrew that week. And it turns out that someone did actually come forward with a photograph. There was a 30 Seconds to Mars concert that week, on the week that Andrew vanished, and someone noticed someone in a photograph that looked exactly like Andrew. We'll show the photograph on screen now. But for those who are just listening via audio, what do you think that looks like Andrew?
As we were discussing before, he's got such a general view, like in terms of what I imagine a 14-year-old boy with a fringe.
He's just a teenage boy. Like if I were to think, like put it in a dictionary of a teenage boy,
Caucasian,
he looks like a teenage
14-year-old boy.
Glasses, like a band t-shirt.
Yeah, so that looks like him, but it could
like
also
him.
be any other 14-year-old boy as well.
But so do other people. Like other people in the crowd. There's someone at the front. Like it's someone with like medium long hair.
Yeah.
Glasses,
yeah,
young. When someone's features haven't fully come through, and there's a bit of like a chubbiness to the face, a
100%.
youthness to the face.
Yeah,
people look so similar. We said as well, like there was someone in our school who looks just like him.
Yes,
it's quite a generic looking guy.
So it could be him, but again, it's like to me this isn't conclusive.
So on the image, the image on screen now, there's been some talk about it online, and some people think it is Andrew, some people don't. But like we said, it just looks like a typical teenager. Kevin Gosden himself has said that he finds this idea plausible, and he finds it heartbreaking because it means that he could have something bad could have happened to him. There are some things that fit the story that Andrew fell into some kind of criminal kidnapping, possibly for ransom, trafficking, or abuse or something like that. The timing and setting of Andrew's disappearance unfortunately does fit into the patterns of predatory crime. He was alone, a teenager in London, a big city where criminals and traffickers are known to operate. In 2007, it was widely feared that abductors could have targeted him. After Andrew's disappearance, investigators did monitor the dark web and other forums online, but they found nothing linking Andrew to any kind of trafficking thing online. However, this whole theory did gain some renewed attention late in 2021 when detectives acting on an anonymous tip arrested 2 men in London on suspicion of kidnapping and trafficking Andrew.
The suspects were in their late 30s and 40s, and media later reported one also faced allegations of possessing indecent images, although these were unrelated to Andrew's case. So for the first time, the public heard that police genuinely treated this as a possible kidnapping. South Yorkshire police have always treated Andrew's disappearance as a potentially criminal matter. When the case was publicised in January 2022, the force confirmed the arrests and explained that they stemmed from a tip-off. For nearly 2 years, the suspects were under scrutiny. However, by September 2023, South Yorkshire police announced that, quote, "We're confident the 2 men played no part in Andrew's disappearance," end quote, and that the investigation remains open and active. In short, police worked hard on this lead, but eventually concluded it yielded no incriminating evidence.
So that's theory 2, that Andrew, his whole plan was to essentially see if he was going to get spotted missing at school that day, then the next day take a full day off at school and go see a music gig, then return home like nothing had happened.
Yes.
That's what some people think. But during that time, he was either kidnapped, trafficked, or whatever, or potentially lured there. So he was lured there under the pretense of, hey, come with me, I'll take you to a gig or something like that.
He would have gotten away with it almost because I remember how the school got the family's phone number wrong.
Yeah.
So if he had been planning to just go to this concert and then come back, but he didn't have a return ticket.
Do you know what I've just realised? Then I've wondered if someone said to him, "Oh, I'll take you to a gig, blah blah blah. I'll drop you off at home after as well.
That's what I'm
going that
thinking.
way anyway, so I'll drop you off at home."
Yes,
so
that's what I'm thinking.
yeah, I just thought of then.
Yeah.
I was thinking,
But then also, and at concerts, you've got alcohol, like drinks, even if it's not an alcoholic drink. And the older person who's lured him out there could
Slip
buy him a
something
drink
in.
and just easily.
Oh, yeah.
And he's such a a naive. And on top of it, he looked very young for his age. Maybe you have a freaky person that he came across who was like, "This is my target." He's introverted. He's like a prime target. You know what I mean? He's like,
when you're 14, no matter how smart or whatever he was, his family have said he wasn't very streetwise. So this isn't a streetwise kid, and he's 14 . So you have that lack.
You're never that smart at 14.
You're never that smart. You can be book smart, but you're not.
No.
Naivety is still very much a thing at 14.
For sure. That's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also he was into bands. It makes sense. And London, and he was even wearing the Slipknot shirt. Like I would think that he would most definitely came out to London for something music related. I think that fits his kind of.
It fits it right.
Yeah.
Now, there also is another little theory that pops up online, which is essentially quite similar to this, but it's just a bit more honed in. So right after Andrew vanished, there was another disappearance of a London boy, 16-year-old Alex Stoley, who went missing from Tower Hill 10 months after Andrew disappeared. Both smart boys last seen in London with no clear leads. Some have urged investigators to consider a link, suggesting that they could have fallen victim to the same criminal or criminal network. As of right now, no hard evidence connects the two cases, but this remains a concern. So essentially, was Andrew targeted by a serial killer, or is there a ring who are targeting specifically young boys for trafficking reasons? Maybe they're like certain clientele who are asking for certain...
For sure.
A preference or something like that. That's what some people have thought, because there's something linking this and this Alex kid. There's no evidence for it, but it gets brought up a lot, so I thought I'd mention that quickly. It's kind of linked to the trafficking thing.
I mean, London's a big place.
It's a huge place, yeah.
You could make a lot of links there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, I mean, how would the serial killer, unless he targeted him in South Yorkshire, and he knew that he would be in London, you would think it'd be something a bit more like again, more like a trafficking thing, whereas a serial killer just waiting around, oh, what do you know? There's a really smart boy. I mean, I guess if he found him at the concert, if that's how the serial killer worked, but that I seem less inclined to believe that.
I don't think it's that. No, I don't think it's that. Another theory that we have is a accidental death or misadventure. So this is simply that Andrew went to London, maybe to go to a music concert, maybe to go see, at the time there was also the Tutankhamun exhibition that was on in London at the time too, and he was very interested in history, specifically ancient Egyptian history. So he might have gone to London to go spend the day there, either to a gig or the museum, and during that time accidentally died by falling in the river, which does happen sometimes.
Wild.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, typically with drunk people, but some people have said maybe he was just like...
Maybe he was pushed in.
Pushed
you know how
in.
The English
There's
people
that
have
too,
that serial killer, linking them and just pushed him in to the river, maybe.
So... one speculative theory is that Andrew might be in the Thames. In 2011, two freelance search professionals offered to scan the river with sonar. They did find an unknown body, but it wasn't Andrew. So they did actually find someone in the river. So it's possible that it's a huge river. It's very deep. It's quite wide as well.
It goes out to the ocean, right?
So this is like a thing that people take seriously. But as of right now, there are no unidentified remains linking this as being Andrew, so it's not him. If Andrew did die accidentally, it would have been in circumstances that left no easy clues. Over the years, the police have repeatedly said that they have checked unidentified bodies, hospital admissions, coroner's records, looking for anyone who could have died and could be Andrew, but wasn't reported properly, but no matches to date. Well, it was never found, so I'm guessing if it was there, they would have found it by now.
You would think.
It's been a while, right?
Yeah. And the final theory is the idea that Andrew did leave and that he actually basically went there to unalive himself.
Yeah.
That maybe he traveled to London, spend one last day doing all the things he wanted, like the Tutankhamun, go to a music concert, and then eventually just took his own life. So Andrew was a high-achieving, introverted person, and there were no overt signs that he was struggling. But as we all know, people can be very good at hiding mental health problems. And some speculate that Andrew withdrew the £200 on the morning of the 14th, traveled to the capital, as we said, spent the day exploring, went to a museum, went to a gig, and then he ended it all probably maybe jumping in the River Thames or something like that. But again, I would have thought his body would have popped up.
His body would have, I guess so. But then that other person, the unknown body, was found in the river.
Yeah.
And it's an unknown body, don't even know who it is. And that was
true.
left for a long time, I can imagine.
But when you, in unaliving cases, there's always a note that you leave behind.
Not always, but I think
Very
with Andrew's
commonly.
case, if he went out, if he left a note when he was popping to the shops, I can imagine if he was doing this, he probably would have
You'd think, and he was such a
left a
considerate
note.
boy.
Yeah, he probably would have said like a little note or something.
Yeah, and to also, do people unalive themselves far away from home, in like completely unique?
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, people
I
do.
guess
People
people
go
don't
to
wanna-
like locations where
That's
the
true.
family aren't going to find them.
That's true, actually.
People go to forests or
That's
things like that.
true.
Yeah.
But it's one thing to unalive yourself, but then to have your body missing from your family and leaving that with them to
Yeah.
forevermore think what happened to my child. Whereas you want to be found, but not directly found. If that makes sense.
Yeah, you somewhere maybe found in a week or two.
Yeah, or
in
someone
a few
else.
hours or a day or two. Yeah.
I think that's why often people do it in their workplace because they don't want their families to find them.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Right.
And then, but like you find it at the work, so a colleague, you dump that on them rather than like family. So I just don't think he would do that to his family.
From the little descriptions that you get from his family and his friends and stuff, it doesn't really seem like that kind of guy.
And they didn't believe it because they thought they had been saying, "Why'd you leave?" Like they genuinely think he just ran away, rather than they're not even considering that. So
I do have one little theory.
Yes.
Of what I think might have happened. So, as we mentioned earlier, Andrew did travel to Cambridge for a Cambridge opening event for future students. Part of me wonders, did he meet an older teacher or member of staff, faculty member, somebody who kind of manipulated him, made him feel really good about how smart he was? Because I think by the sounds of it, he was almost misunderstood with how smart he was. I think he probably struggled to relate with people. He found school so easy, he might have struggled to relate to people. So finally he's in a place of Cambridge. There's going to be a lot of smart people there. So he might have related to someone in a way he might not have done before. Felt some kind of like attachment, whether that be friendly or romantic, something, whatever, I don't know. And this person might have said, "Hey, by the way, you're really smart," really kind of lured him in that way. Might have said, "Hey, you're into ancient history? Oh, me too. I tell you what, there's an exhibition in London. Do you want to go meet me there? And then after, I'll drop you off. Just don't go to school for the day. They probably won't know.
Yeah.
Don't go. I'll take you to the museum and I'll drop you off at home. No one has to know."
Yeah.
Part of him wonders that. Now, from what I can tell, the police did look at this as a possible thing and they didn't find anything. But it makes sense in my mind to some degree because like he doesn't seem like the kind of person to just go to London on a whim.
Yeah, for sure.
And I know he was quite introverted, but that could have been because he didn't meet he didn't meet anyone who was kind of on his level.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's finally gone to Cambridge, met someone he's, I guess, intellectual level. And
I remember those open days, you would go there and they'd have stalls everywhere of like hobbies. And it would actually be the students that go there rather than like a teacher or faculty.
Yeah, true. It's true.
And then it would probably be like an older student or like a student who just runs one of the places. Like, I'm just like being complete. Like, what if it was like not World of Warcraft, but I don't know, some kind of stand of like a hobby that he's interested in, and they get up chatting, and it's more of like
gaming
another
too. Anything.
Gaming.
He had a lot of interests.
Gaming.
Music. He could have said there's a music concert.
Yes.
There's the Tutankhamun thing on. There's so many things that Andrew was interested in. He was quite an
100%.
interesting kid.
Yeah.
He had quite a lot of hobbies and interests. So it's like
sure. I think that's because like as far as we know, he wasn't speaking online to anyone.
No, not
and
online.
And he came back super excited from that Cambridge trip. And obviously you might be excited about your studies or something, but it makes more sense that he was excited because he made a friend there.
Yeah.
And they
someone
had
he found related to.
Yeah.
Maybe this person liked the same music, liked ancient history too.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Like an older brother vibe.
Like an older brother vibe that he might not have had. Yeah.
And he, being young, didn't realize that.
He was getting groomed.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that's really possible.
For sure.
It makes sense in my mind. Is it true or not? I don't know. But
It would make sense because the £200, he had took only £200 and he left the 100 as if he's going to come back eventually.
And use it.
If you're going to run away or whatever, or you're going to blow it all on one last, you would take all the money you can.
Yeah.
It sounds like
go and get all your favorite food.
Yeah.
Go and watch the gig. Do something like £200.
And they get dropped off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I think happened.
I agree.
We spoke that off camera.
You cracked this one. That's what I absolutely think.
It makes sense. Just because with no evidence of him talking to anyone online, the only chance he would have had to meet somebody that isn't in his little world would have been at that trip. I don't know if his parents were with him. They probably were with him. I don't know if they were with him 24/7. There might have been a time where his parents turned around and talked to someone else, and he was going to these stalls, and there might have been a history stall of like, if you want to study history here, here's whatever, and he got talking to some guy.
Yeah.
That's what I think happened.
Yeah, 100%. And then it's so easy just to draw. And then it's so messed up because it'll be like, don't tell anyone, like, because you're going to obviously skip school. Exactly. I don't want to get in trouble, type of a thing. Like,
don't tell anyone. Yeah, you get me in trouble, so don't tell anyone that you're meeting me.
Yeah, and then the fact that he's like, great, I have this young 14-year-old boy.
Doesn't have a phone. No phone. He has no phone on him. He can't be tracked with his phone where he's going.
So true.
It's so frustrating as well because, like, if you just had a phone, you could triangulate where he was.
Yeah.
But
or if any of those CCTV footage. They
scoured it. They scoured a lot of footage as well. So, like, in the surrounding areas of London, they were looking for where he could have gone.
Yeah.
They just couldn't find him. There's so many people, too many people.
Yeah.
So many possible hours, so many possible locations. He could have gone that way.
Brutal.
It would take like hundreds of years to review all. If you think about,
maybe
if you don't know
AI
where he is,
now you could be like AI scour the entire.
It's probably all gone.
Yeah.
It's probably all white by now. It's probably all gone. It's why would you keep footage from years ago and it takes up that much memory?
I'm sure someone somewhere has all of it. Surely.
Yeah, probably, to be fair, yeah.
The FBI or something.
Yeah.
But
FBI in the UK. The UK branch of the FBI have got it. Yeah.
What's it called here? The Met?
MI5 is
really?
our little FBI and like CIA. We have like MI5, MI6, which is domestic and international.
I thought that was James Bond.
It is James Bond, but it's real as well.
Oh, no way.
The building's really ominous in London as well. It's in London. It's like a really it's like a lair. Yeah.
So are there actual agents with a double O?
No. I don't know about that. I mean, there might be. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, that's real?
Yeah.
No way.
MI5, MI6 is real.
Yeah, sick.
Yeah.
That's the kind
if you go to London, you can see the building.
That's sick.
Yeah.
But I think the FBI, CIA is like very like distinct. They've only separated MI5 to MI6.
Special branch, MI5, MI6. Then we have other stuff as well. Special branch, undercover stuff.
I don't even know what the Australians are. Probably, I don't know. Gosh, I'm on. Yep. Don't know about that.
But anyway, that's the case of Andrew Gosden. Sorry,
Yes.
not Godston. I think I might have said it a couple of times Godson, but it's Gosden. That's the case. Let us know what you think as always, because
Yes,
I'd be quite interested to hear theories. One thing to mention actually before we leave is there was a guy called.
Oh.
Yeah, so there's a guy called Ash who follows me on Instagram, and he's from York actually. But he sent me a message years ago. We're talking, I think, 2021, 2022. Sent me a message, sent me a screenshot. We'll put it on screen now for those watching. But there's a boy who on Google Maps, in an area on Google Maps, who looks just like Andrew. I think he sent it to the police and he put it on various online forums. Nothing came of it. But that's one little theory that some people have talked about, because I was the first person he sent it to. But we'll just get it up now. Yeah, Josh, come over here. What do you think? What do you think? Do you think it looks like it just could be any kind of?
I'm of the opinion it could be any 14-year-old.
Yeah, it looks like him, but he looks like a lot of people.
Yeah, that's
so
what
it's
I
hard,
mean.
isn't it? It's really
hard.
Everyone was an emo back then.
Everyone was an emo. I had long hair like that.
Yeah, 2008 was
I
a
put
time.
a photo of me on there as well. Yeah, it was a time when people had long,
That's
kind of
what I mean.
sweeping hair. And it's
For
just,
sure, it's too tricky.
When a disappearance in London's so tricky with no phone, and then you got someone who looks so like a typical.
Yeah, but he would have been found by now. This is the thing. He must have met a perilous end because you cannot be a 30-something-year-old operating without a bank.
Yeah,
and not showing a single trace of your of your online identity at all.
It's tragic.
And like that's a pretty incredible thing to do at 14. To just up and do that, to just do that successfully.
It'd be so hard.
Yeah,
it'd be so hard. But then again, some people did think they saw him sleeping on a bench. But I don't know.
No, again, they probably saw a 14-year-old boy who just looked like him because he's not distinctive.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, that's the case. Yes. So, as always, let us know what you think, because I'd be interested to know what people think about this.
Yes.
Let us know what you think. And don't forget to like and subscribe and become a member if you want to help support the podcast as well. And with that, Take care. We'll
Thanks,
see you later.
guys.
Thank you for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.
See you next week.
Feel nervous, I haven't done it in a while. Andrew as a person was... Fuck me. So burpy now. Went to Birmingham the other day. Fuck on. Got a Rennie. Where are the Rennies? I need a Rennie. I've got fucking GERD or something. Have you had a GERD before?
Yeah.
If I was live, I'd be fucked.